Have you wondered if you order a Ford Maverick right now, or if you've already ordered your Ford Maverick, when you're gonna get it? I'd assume probably, most certainly, yes. So I'm here to help discuss that, figure that all out, because, well, today we're gonna discuss some important Ford news that they dropped on the Ford Maverick Truck Club. And, well, supposedly, Mavericks are now being scheduled based on the date they were ordered, not based on your dealer allotments. So we're going to discuss that, talk about the real deal behind that, what I've noticed, what I think's going on, what I hope will go on. So we'll discuss all that and a whole lot more. And you're also going to want to stay tuned, because at the end of the episode, I've been asked to do a little review and discussion on different accessories. So we'll be talking about the difference between a spray-in bed liner, a hard drop-in bed liner, the different tops available, my favorites, the pros, the cons, so the highs and the lows. And of course, we'll talk a little about a must-have inside accessory for the Maverick. I've got them on both my Broncos, so I spent twice on both my Broncos, so you'll want to watch to the end for that. Later on, I might separate it into its own episode if, enough people comment that they did like that. But for now, the news, the Ford news, what's going on? Well, what's going on is that we should be able to simply figure out when a Ford Maverick is going to get delivered based on what Ford told Maverick Truck Club. So I'm going to read this. So this is the quote we've got here. It says, quote, "Traditionally, we have allocated vehicles to dealerships based on historical sales data, which help determine the scheduling of orders. Furthermore, they also said, while we initially followed this process for Maverick, we quickly pivoted when customer demand exceeded expectations. As a result, orders are scheduled in the order in which they are received, regardless of dealer, pending any capacity and commodity limitations. Oldest Maverick retail orders are prioritized first, provided the dealer has completed the required customer order verification process, COVP, and the order can be scheduled within existing supply and optional features package availability." Okay, so what's the real deal here? Let's talk about that. Well, I can 100% agree with what I've seen. I 100% agree with part of what's being said here, and I'm 100% pretty iffy on some of it. First of all, really, let's just discuss what is being said. What's really being said is that traditionally, dealers, and this has always been the case and is still the case for many models, hopefully this will change soon for the Bronco, but basically, you look at a dealer in regards to its environment and how many Mavericks or Broncos or Lightnings that get given to that dealer aren't based on how many reservations they pick up or how many, Mavericks they sell. It's based on what is deemed appropriate for their region. So I've talked about this before, going back to the Bronco. I'd really gotten in depth with the formula, talking about how they look at, what are the traditional sales of the dealer, which the quote talks about, but also, what's the competition in the area. So that's how it was determined in the past. Now what they're saying, retail orders, well, that's customer orders. That's us. What they're saying is that for us, we're going to be prioritized or selected for building based on when we ordered the vehicle. Well, I'm not sure here, and I don't know, this is saying that they quickly switched over to this process. And I've got a few examples that make me think that, this definitely is something that's being worked towards. I've seen some of that, but I've also seen that, the system still not easy to be able to just say, well, I've got this, I've got this on my XLT, I've got a simple XLT hybrid, or I have a fancy Lux package, and the Lux packages, across the markets, across all dealers, they're on to the first week of July. Well, I've definitely seen that that's not the case. I'm going to explain why and give examples in just a minute. So here we go. Okay, so the real deal. I can definitely say that I've definitely seen that the part when they're talking about, your date might differ based on constrained, meaning Constrained equipment or options doesn't mean you're never going to get your Maverick because you have, for example, the luxury package, or you have added on accessories. But here's some few examples that really show what's really going on. I've got a yellow EcoBoost luxury package, all-wheel drive, that I'll show right on the side. It was even ordered with the spray and bed liner. It was ordered with the tri-fold soft cover, and just the same, this was ordered in November. This showed up in March. Now, the constrained issue here, I would suspect, is that hybrids, they're nowhere near being at that place. You know, my hybrid is an order. It's a luxury package. It's an XLT luxury hybrid from July 17th, and it has yet to be ordered. And on the channel, you've actually seen an XLT hybrid without Lux package. And I do want to correct that. That was Russell Gentile's Maverick, the silver one. His silver Maverick was ordered. It was not at the it was ordered at the factory. His bed cover, the hard roll-up bed cover, and his spray and bed liner, both of which were ordered at the factory. But he has a simple build. He has an XLT hybrid. So he ordered, I'll check the dates here, I've written these down. He ordered June 11th. It was built in early January, and the delivery for that vehicle at his dealership in Florida was the 6th of February. That's when he took possession. So they probably would have gotten it 2-3 days before and got it all ready for delivery. So let's compare that to my first hybrid XL that I saw at my local dealership. That was actually ordered, and this makes me wonder, when did they pivot to this new system that's based purely on date? This XL was ordered in around the 10th of September, and it came in for the 23rd of December. And this was an XL with nothing, no hitch, basically nothing, very little. So it was an XL hybrid, and it showed up very, very quickly. Now, we recently had a blue one, a blue hybrid, and this blue hybrid that I've shown on the channel, that too was a later order. It was around the month of September as well, later on in September, early October, and that's an XLT with premium package, and it's the exact same build that we have, because except for color. It's the only difference. It got delivered with a spray and bed liner as well, so it's an XLT spray and bed liner luxury package hybrid. Now, I don't know very many dealers where we could say that globally, like this blue one that was ordered around end of September, early October, I don't think most dealers are on to delivering already, or have delivered their XLT premium, because this blue one, it's already been delivered. It showed up in about mid-March. So ordered in late September, early October, showed up in mid-March. Whereas the only difference it has with Marie-Pierre and I's Maverick is the color. So I think Ford is definitely trying to go by date, and that's why we can see that generally a lot of dealers, we can say, are working on finishing up, or have already finished up, their June orders, and are working through July for hybrids. Now, Ford does talk about constrained issues. Mind you, that blue one versus mine, the real difference other than color is it was a priority 10 and I'm a priority 12. So this reminds us that priority code is so important. You want to make sure with your dealer that they have given you a priority 10. Dealers can choose what to put your priority code on, and my priority code is a little higher. It's 12, because, well, the goal is actually to push a few people ahead of me, because that's only fair. You know, Marie and I each got to have a Bronco. We got really fortunate. We went soft top and we jumped way ahead of the list. So speaking of jumping, and they're both 2.7 liter EcoBoost with the towing package. So this is what is really complicated when it comes to constraints. Basically, the factory, when it comes around to being your turn to build your vehicle, you may or may not get a build date. And that's based on once it's your turn, they have to see if your entire package is buildable. And if by the time it gets to be your turn that week, when they're trying to give you a build date, if they see that they're not going to have, for example, the rolling cover, Going back to the Maverick that Russell has. He had the rolling cover from factory, but he received his months later. He ordered it on June 11th versus a September 10th XL with nothing on it. And he also received it February 6th, whereas that standard XL hybrid was delivered December 23rd. So obviously how the system would have been looking at Russell's build is they would have tried to build it many times before getting around to building this base simple XL. But every time they must have tried to assign Russell a build date, the system would have said, oh, well, we're missing something on his order. So what can we do? Really, it's simple. Things like accessories. Definitely spray and bed liner, get that, or the drop-in. And we'll talk about the differences between the two coming right up, but try to get those done at the dealer. Really, any and all accessories, if they come to go and try to build your vehicle, but they see down the road when they're allotting for that time period, that by the time they get to ordering and trying to build yours, that you're missing something, well, you get pushed aside. And you can continuously be pushed aside for weeks and months. So you want to keep your builds as simple as possible. Russell being an extremely early order, June 11th, well, eventually the stars aligned, and when the factory tried to build them and it was like very, very much his turn, well, it just worked out that they had everything. So he got given a build date, and that's simply how things work. Now, of course, hybrids seem to be more constrained than EcoBoost. This is definitely obvious when we have a November order, the yellow one, showing up, being scheduled and showing up, EcoBoost, when there's still July orders to be like ours to be scheduled. And priority code is also very important. So keep that all in mind. Try to keep your builds simple and make sure that your dealer does allot you a priority code 10. They can do that. Now, if you have a priority code 2, that's only given by Ford, and that means you've been, they really want to get yours built. So that's great news. That means basically every time the system goes to build a lot for a dealer, you come up right at the top of the list and they try to build yours. So that definitely does give you a leg up. But once again, having a simpler build will help move you forward. So if you can add it on at the dealer, do so if you're trying to get your Maverick and really any Ford. And this is advice that really does apply to all manufacturers because all manufacturers are dealing with constraints. Constraints just mean that they don't get all the supplies they need to get to do what they want. And of course, the factory needs to keep moving. People need to keep working. If you want to keep employees, you can't tell them to only show up for 2 months, 2 weeks or 3 weeks out of the month. You need to have them there and pay them regularly and have them work regularly. Otherwise, they might find a job elsewhere. So what do? You build what you can build. And really, that's what's causing all these problems. So I hope these are very helpful tips. I've got, the proof is in the pudding. We got our Broncos really quickly. Our Maverick, we were really hard-headed on it. And this is why, well, with the priority code and the particular build we took, and we also have recently thrown down the plastic bed liner because we don't mind it so much, but I have my constraints and worries about it. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we talk about accessories in just a moment. First, before we get to accessories, let's just do some really quick recap on the news from the last week to 2 weeks. Really cool. Thus far, the Maverick has outsold the Ford Ranger. And this year so far, it's doubled the Hyundai Santa Cruz's sales figures. So incredible. The Maverick is a huge success. This certainly is not helping in regards to delays and how long it takes us to get our Mavericks. But so far from what I'm seeing, if you're a hybrid, they are scheduling out and giving out dates to even complicated builds from July. And sometimes one gets picked, like the blue one that was much later. It was more towards the end of September. It can get pulled because of a mix between priority code and what's constrained and what is not constrained. A lot of people have asked for, covers or Line-X. Sorry, that's not correct. The correct term, spray and bed liner. A lot of people have asked for this, and it can get you kind of, you could say, pushed aside. The system wants to build you. If it's missing one thing, they pass on to the next person. And, they'll pass as many people as required until they say, this Maverick we can build on this date, and that person gets selected. Now, more cool news, the Ford Mustang continues to be the world's most sold sports car. So that is very cool. And I almost feel like, in honor of Mustangs, and I've had about 6 or 7 of them, I still have a 94 GT convertible parked in my garage from, storing it this winter. I do love Mustangs, and I do feel like having a sole video on just the Mustang, the new model coming up, talking about, design elements, what we can expect from it. But I'm just waiting for a little bit more concrete news so I can really drop a good video on that. Now, what else can we say? Well, I need to say that in the last video, if you want to hear more about price protection, you're going to want to watch the last video, because in the last video, I said the Bronco has gone up by X dollars. I said just right around $4,000. And actually, between the last price increase and the current price increase, someone very rightfully corrected me and said, no, Johnny, it's more like $1,050. Yes, that is absolutely correct. Between the very last price increase and the current price increase, it's $1,000. But from the time I ordered my Bronco, I've got the window sticker right behind me, and I was running at $62,939, and I'll post right here what the difference is now. But give or take a few dollars, it's $3,500. And that's without the steel bumper I got in 2021, which on the Badlands is no longer a steel bumper, it's the capable bumper. So if I add that on, we're looking at right around $4,000. So I just want to make that little correction from the last video, but it does remind us how important price protection is. And what price protection is, really simply, you want the full details, watch the last video. But here it goes. If you order a vehicle that is currently, you could say, for sale, so not sold out, you need to get your dealer to print you off a piece of paper and sign that the price listed is the price you will pay. Now, some dealers don't want to sign an offer, a sales or a lease offer, but that's ideal. If you can get one of those, they sign, the interest rate's there, the details of the vehicle and the price is there, and they're really signing to honor that. Now, if they don't want to print one of those off, they should at least print off a sheet and at least by hand and sign that they will honor the price. Now, if the vehicle is sold out, such as the Maverick or the Bronco, they can't price protect that price, and it only makes sense though that you get them to sign and promise that they will protect the interest rate and really honor the interest rate, as well as honor the price for the first available 2023 price. So that's really important, because as you can see, the Bronco, the price can really increase, and there's all sorts of price increases coming up. It's gonna get scary, and I'm gonna cover it all right here, because I'm Johnny from Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. Forgot to do the intro at the beginning, and I'm here to help. So you'll definitely want to watch that. Now let's just get on to talking about the accessories for the Ford Maverick. Ford Maverick accessories. It can be complicated, it can be confusing. There's multiple choices all over the place, but we're going to be talking about bed covers, the interior of beds, the bottom of beds that is, as well as flooring. What do you really need to know? What do you need for what you're gonna use it for? So we've got multiple types of accessories. Here you can see we've got the tri-folding cover. I like its price. It's almost half, it's not quite half the price as the soft roll up, but the thing is, water has known to get in just a little bit more, and it does leave the look of the bed. It's got that kind of pyramid look to it, whereas you see Marie here when she's been demonstrating to us the roll-up cover. Now this thing is 1,300 Canadian versus about 650 Canadian for the other, either soft folding or soft rolling or soft folding. So this is almost twice the price, but look how good that is. You've got the logo there, and you can see this truck right here, Russell's truck, it's got the spray and bed liner. The spray and bed liner I've got, we'll get to that in just a moment, but this roll up really, the only thing I'm not a huge fan of is the price. Do keep in mind you're going to lose a little bit of visibility. You are going to definitely lose a little bit of bed space if you plan on loading beyond the rails of the bed. However, it's so easy. You see Marie here, open, close, only takes a few seconds, is very flush with the bed, so it looks amazing. It's got the best look, and it lets next to no water in. So if you want to keep water out of your box or criminals out of your box, because you can't just cut into this, you can't just pull out a knife and cut into it, it is the safest option. Whereas when we go with any of the soft covers, they cost so much less. But unless you're spending a little bit more for, on the F-150s, they're my favorite models, waiting for it to come to the Maverick, but either the soft rolling that is flush. If you go with the current models, you're getting a bit of that little 2-3 inch lift over the bed. And inside, it's a little more complicated to use because you have to reach further in to grab those handles. Now also keep in mind that either the hard folding or hard roll up is going to last a lot longer. These, either the soft roll up, which has a Velcro strip for rolling and unrolling, which the Velcro strip with time can get, kind of jammed up with gunk. But either way, they're vinyl and they're going to crack and rip with time. Even if no one cuts into it, they're not going to last nearly as long. You see those handles right there? You've got to reach in and pull on those. So just a little bit more complicated than your more expensive hard roll up or fold up option. Now we're going to hear from Tristan all about the floor mats. Now the floor mats are easy because you can't get any from Ford right now. So he found a company, absolute fantastic price. I encourage you to look on the internet for them. You'll see the little logo, the name, but he's gonna talk to us about that. Then I'm gonna be back and talking to you all about the different covers, the inner bed liner, whether you go with a drop-in, which is plastic, or the spray. So let's hear from Tristan.
Hi folks, so this is my Maverick. I'm Tristan. John talked about me a couple weeks ago in a couple of videos. So I just received my mats from Tux Mat. I really like those one. Basically they cover everything from the pedal completely to the hub. John's gonna show you in the video a little bit more.
I absolutely approve of these mats, and if everyone is wondering, yeah, I probably am too cheap to buy the roll-up cover, hard roll-up cover for Marie, but these mats I absolutely will buy for Marie. It'll be my surprise to her. I absolutely love them, and so will she.
Basically, the company didn't release yet the model for the Maverick, but we found on the mavericktruckclub.com on the forum that they are the same fit from the Bronco Sports. So I only ordered the one in the front because in the back they're not going to fit. But really love the result. Really nice quality. Same price as the WeatherTech, but I prefer the texture on those one and better coverage. So if you want some, really like those.
So just in case you missed it, Tristan said that he had to order these, putting in as a model the Escape, but the front ones, not the back ones, but the front ones fit right in. They look great. I don't know if they're going to be easy to clean with those little divots in them, but I don't care. They're not slippery when wet. WeatherTech, I've slipped before once ice builds up on them, so I really like these mats. And I'm famously cheap, but I like him so much, I'm going to buy him for Marie. Now, being that I am famously cheap, I probably won't buy the hard roll-up cover for Marie. She would need to tell me first that she wants Ford Mavericks for like the next 5-6 years for me to spend $1,300, but boy does it ever look good. So now, what are we going to talk about? Let's talk, because clearly these mats are an absolute winner. And I also like Russell's idea of having a windshield 3M protector against stone chips, because I've already got a chip in my Bronco, and both Tristan and Russell have the XLT, and they've bought their own. They didn't get Lux package, so they found their own LEDs online. So check that out. There's an idea for you all. Now, if you are thinking of beds, keep in mind plastic is a little less expensive than getting a spray-in aftermarket. However, the plastic will cover your accessory electronic wiring in the back. So if you do plan on wiring up your own LEDs, just keep in mind that the plastic is, you're either cutting out that little hole for the accessories, the accessory wire, but do keep in mind the plastic is less durable. If you try to throw in something like a skidoo, it'll rip right through. The Line-X, far more grip, more long lasting, but once you get a stain in there, it's also going to last there. It also scratches, so you can't just pull it out and replace it. Personally, I do prefer the spray-in bed liner, but I do like how the plastic has this logo. But when you do get ice in it, it is going to be slippery when you have the drop-in bed liner. That's the plastic one, but it's got a really cool, Ford Maverick written in it. So I am more for the spray-in, but for our own order, we're going to live with the drop-in bed liner, hoping we get it finally get a VIN and a build. Now, if you would like to hear from another local, this was a local from my area, Tristan, a good friend of mine. So obviously I want to showcase him on the channel, but I also have a cool story about an older Bronco, and I'd like to cover it because right now we're still waiting on our Broncos. Many of us, soft top, as you can see from my two Broncos, is a solution for getting it sooner. But while we're at it, of course I had to show the Cactus Gray that Tristan has, because surprisingly, I did want to compare it with my Bronco. Cactus Gray is a color that's easy to paint and is uniform across all models. Now, if you want to hear from a local, just drop local in the comments section. Until next time, I wish you all more cars and more power. And these tricks have honestly helped me. They've helped viewers on the channel get their models built faster. So I do definitely hope you follow these tricks, and I do hope you get your Ford model sooner. For the most part, from what I've been telling from the Bronco and the Maverick, they are definitely worth the wait. Now, thanks again so much for watching. Have a great week. Take care and see you next time.